This is big breaking news. The Secretary of War, Pete Hegseth, is now warning that we, quote, must prepare now. He is warning that the U.S. is now going to be in a war footing stance, and we are no longer going to be in a defensive posture. That's what he's warning of right now, and he's making parallels and comparisons even to World War II and the situations that happened there. So, pretty intense warnings. We're going to get into all of it. You guys can see here, he just made this speech at the Pentagon. Let's listen to what he has to say. There's a couple clips I want to play, and then we'll talk more about it.
This is a 1939 moment, or hopefully a 1981 moment, a moment of mounting urgency. Enemies gather, threats grow, you feel it, I feel it. If we are going to prevent and avoid war, which is what we all want, we must prepare now. Our adversaries are not sitting idly by, they're moving fast. They're developing and delivering new capabilities at a rate that should be sobering to every American, especially those who work in the Pentagon and in the defense industrial base. Their ambitions and intentions are bold. Their actions speak volumes, and frankly, at times we've been too damn slow to respond. But before we get too far along, when it comes to transformation, let me give some credit.
All right, so you heard that there. That was the main clip that I wanted to play. He was making parallels to World War II and the Cold War, all right? And he's also saying, quote, we must prepare now. He's talking about as a nation, as a country, we need to be prepared for these big challenges that are coming ahead. But when I hear this, I take it personally, and, the citizenry should be preparing too, all right? You should take preparedness into your own hands. That should be your own responsibility as well too, because, the government will be prepared for what they need to be prepared for. The military will be ready, but are you going to actually be ready and be okay if something like this happens? All right, I hope we don't have any big wars, but who knows, right? Things are changing, and they're changing fast, and we have multiple fronts, all right, that could pop off. One of them is Venezuela. We have Iran and Israel, which has been temporarily subdued. We have China and Taiwan is a major flashpoint right now too, especially with the AI arms race and the chip making race, because that's where a lot of chip development takes place, is in Taiwan. Don't ask me why it's not in the United States, but that's how it is. And also Russia and Ukraine, right, are major flashpoints right now. All of these wars could potentially drag the United States further into a direct military conflict, all right? And even Trump announced last week, potentially Nigeria is on the list now too, all right, for the treatment of Christians domestically, all right? So I would be prepared if I were you. Don't be scared, but be prepared, be ready. If this stuff happens, you will have a plan, you'll be ready, right? Let's listen to a few other little clips from him, and then we will get into some more articles as well too, all right? You guys can hear this.
We're not just buying something. We're solving life and death problems for our warfighters. We're not building for peacetime. We are pivoting the Pentagon and our industrial base to a wartime footing. Building for victory should our adversaries FAFO. We're not.
Okay, so you heard that there. He's even saying that our industrial base needs to make a shift towards a wartime footing. Okay, so I think the Pentagon is going to be using part of their massive budget to incentivize certain industries to modernize and be up to date, so China doesn't have as much leverage over us with things like rare earth minerals and these magnets that are critical to our planes, to our radar systems, to our night vision. All these things are related to these rare earth minerals, and I think that's going to be part of the Pentagon strategy, is to pump billions of dollars into these industries domestically so we can make these things and not have China have this leverage over us, and these other countries as well too. The US should be the top rare earth mineral refiner. Okay, we should be at the top. There's no reason why China should have a 85 to 90% lock on this. Okay, so I think that's going to be part of it too, is charging the economy with money to build these things that the military needs and we just need for the future for AI in different industries. All right, you can also see here the US Army aims to buy 1 million drones over the next 2 to 3 years. So they're ramping things up. All right, I think this is important because we need peace through strength. Right, that is critical, and something that I truly believe in is why we do have peace domestically in the US, is because we have a very powerful and strong military, and it prevents it. Right, it's a preventative measure. Nobody wants to mess with us because of our military and because of our domestic laws as well too. All right, things like the Second Amendment and things like that are concerning for other countries' militaries. Okay, so I think this is important. I think deterrence is a very powerful thing, but at the same time I think this is a warning sign that they're preparing for something big, that maybe something, a big war or a big conflict is coming in the future. All right, you can see here that they are planning to buy over 1 million drones, and it says the Army's new pilot program is called Sky Foundry, and it's starting the in-house Army manufacturing to churn out drones rapidly for battlefield use. It goes on to say that this concept will stimulate the U.S. drone industry, support American manufacturing, increase access to rare earth materials, produce low-cost components, and ultimately deliver drones for immediate needs to the Army. Okay, so this is part of it too. This is part of the industrialization war footing as well too. All right, you can see here some drones will be expendable as if they're munitions. Others will be durable but not meant to last forever. Everyone will need to be well versed in using drones and encounter drone response. So they are ramping these things up. I'm telling you, they're building tons of rare earth mineral refining facilities. That's being ramped up right now. Multiple ones are in the works and trying to go online very soon. And things like this too, drone production, which China has a monopoly on as well. The US is trying to change this. And the drones that other countries produce are potentially going to have back doors in them as well. So that's something that we can't take lightly. It says here that more than 80% of casualties in modern war now come from drones, yet we still have no capacity to build them at scale. That failure is reckless, and it leaves our troops exposed. That's what Congressman Pat Harrington, Republican from North Carolina, said. Also, quote, this bill creates the capacity to design, test, and build 1 million drones a year right here in America. It cuts China out of our supply chains, it arms our troops with what they need to dominate, and it makes clear we will never let our enemies produce or outproduce us in the weapons that decide wars. Right? That's very important, and that's a key point that I've been bringing up personally. If any type of international conflict arises between the U.S. and any country, it's a vulnerability that we can't produce our own equipment here, okay? Because the military and the civilian supply chain are virtually the same, except for, very, very niche things like missiles and munitions and things like that. But even the components that go into them, some of them are a part of the civilian supply chain. Vehicles, all these things are at risk. And it's good to see the U.S. finally taking domestic manufacturing and production of these things seriously. All right, so this is something that I've been concerned about for, I've been bringing up on this channel for years, and it's good to see this finally changing. Right, they're finally producing drones domestically. They're going to produce these rare earth minerals and magnets domestically too. And we saw China pull this export control last month. All right, they announced this for the rare earth minerals, this export ban, and they can control which countries these minerals go to. All right, that's what China did last month. And then Trump announced 100% tariffs on China. And then the Treasury Secretary, Scott Bessent, announced that tariffs could go up to 500%. And then that got China's attention, and they rescinded the export control bans on the rare earth minerals. All right, sorry, I'm trying to cool my computer down here. It's cooking out here in the car. That's probably what you hear if you hear that fan noise in the background. I'm trying to get it cooled down here, lift it up, cool it down a little bit. But this is big, important news. All right, and this is a good thing. Also, on the war front in Venezuela, you can see here Venezuelans begin fleeing the U.S. as protections end and threat of war looms. And this is actually happening with multiple countries. The temporary protected status that was issued to them by the previous administration under the Department of Homeland Security has been rescinded. It says here that as of Friday, more than 600,000 Venezuelans have lost temporary protected status, a designation that shielded them from deportation and allowed many to work and live in the United States. Overnight, some lost jobs that they held for years. They closed shops, walked away from leases, and left homes standing empty. Many have also lost their licenses, health insurance, and access to routine care. Okay, so that's happened to... So a lot of people are worried, too, that this is happening at the same time that the U.S. is saying they might invade Venezuela. We have a ton of resources in the Caribbean right now, Trinidad and Tobago right next to Venezuela, and they're worried, if this war breaks out, then who knows, maybe they could be detained. They already lost their temporary protected status, and then they might be detained under some type of war power or something along those lines, held as a enemy combatant or something. Who knows? I don't know. I'm just speculating, the things that could potentially happen, and people are probably worried about, and they probably are trying to get out of here quickly, all right? And that's probably a good move due to what's happening with Venezuela. Okay, imagine if you're like in Russia and you're trying to claim, like refugee status there, and this conflict between the U.S., NATO, Ukraine, and Russia is happening right now. And then Russia rescinds your refugee status. You should probably get out of there. Okay, they might arrest you. They might detain you. They might send you to the front lines. Who knows what they're gonna do? Okay, it's one of those things where when you're in a military conflict with the country you're trying to claim asylum in, it can cause big problems, all right? Especially when they rescind it like this. They have no legal protection anymore and are actually required to leave the country now. So this also happened to Afghanistan, Cameroon, Nepal, Honduras, Nicaragua, and Syria. Okay, so all this program was expanded very broadly over the past 4 years. Okay, there were just like a dozen countries that were added to the list where they were given this temporary protected status, and it allowed, hundreds of thousands of people to come over. They could even book flights, fly right over into the US and claim this status, and it would actually open up and allow them to claim benefits sometimes, certain benefits. They were even saying that in this article here. It says, it allowed many to work and live in the U.S. All right, they closed shop, walked away. Many also lost their licenses, health insurance, and access to routine care. So they were getting health insurance from these benefits or from this temporary protected status. It allowed them to apply for certain things like potentially Medicaid or SNAP benefits or things like that, certain housing benefits. It opens up these possibilities for them. So that's been rescinded as well too. And it is for all these countries. Okay, so there's probably over 1 million people total that have had their status revoked and are going to have to leave the country, most likely, right? Or they're going to face legal issues. So let me know what you guys think down below. Hope you guys are staying safe, staying prepared out there. I hope you have big blessings for your life and your family. And I hope you have a big old blessed day.